Welcome everyone to 5v5 Live on Shot Callers Esports. I'm at Hempstead. That's Eric Kummel. First off, the play-in stages and the group stages for Worlds 2017 have been determined. The groups are set for both, so that's pretty exciting. We'll get to that in a little while. Yep. But first, Mickey, who we haven't seen much of, but he came over to Team Liquid near the end of the split. He is your new solo queue champion, #1 in North America after like a month and a half.
Congratulations to Mickey for that.
Yeah, big deal. Might get that challenger jacket that people were going crazy for last year. But do you take anything out of this, Mickey being #1?
I mean, it does mean some things to get in rank 1, really top 10 in challenger. I mean, in recent years, you've seen Wild Turtle be like 3 of the top 10, and there's usually a lot of pros making up that top 10 list. But I mean, that doesn't necessarily translate into you're gonna do super well in the LCS, because solo queue is just so insanely different than professional play. Just how you're going about the games. You're not having some less brain-heavy players. They just kind of run at you, especially when you're in the mid lane. You get fed and you can have some insane games and 1v9 hard carry. Not the case in pro games, but still very impressive.
Yeah, less brain-heavy. I like that term. Basically, all being #1 in solo queue means, not to take anything away from it, because I sure as hell couldn't be the #1 player. But
don't sell yourself short.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Basically, I mean, you're obviously very mechanically skilled, and you can carry a team on your back just by, you know, mechanics and understanding of the game. But it doesn't necessarily mean you can hold your own on like a whole team environment, because like you said, it doesn't really exist too much in solo queue. A little bit more in challenger than just, you know, standard what we play in, or what the bronze people experience, where you're just running around and getting free kills. But yeah, I mean, definitely a good accomplishment. I don't think it means that Team Liquid's going to be the best team in NA.
Oh, but Mickey will be top 3 mid, right? I mean, he's got the power infused by Disney themselves,
That's right.
channeling into his character's champion, Mickey. Yeah, I think unless Team Liquid has some crazy other roster moves, I think they're still going to be near the bottom.
Yeah, that's likely. Yeah. Unless they get some other crazy import action. Like they usually go pretty crazy on the signings. Rainover came over, Piglet came over.
Yeah, I mean, based on their whole new team headquarters, this whole, it's like a
nuts.
Space station what they have. They've definitely got enough money to afford some of these players to come over. So I am excited to see what Team Liquid puts out on the Rift next year, because it's, I hope it's completely different, because they came with that same roster this split pretty much.
It didn't go very well.
Didn't go that well.
No, but they did make it out of that promotion tournament.
Yep.
So
stayed in the LCS, even if they lost, they would have just bought their way back into the LCS. But
very important. Good
feels
thing
better
you
to
won.
win a series. So,
It does.
Yeah.
Phoenix 1 feels bad, man.
Yes.
Also, send us your questions because obviously there's a lot going on, all the groups, who's going to make it out, that kind of thing. We'll get more in depth as we get closer to Worlds and once the 4th team actually gets decided for all those regions.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird they actually did the group picks without having all the teams in Worlds.
It is weird seeing the TBD, to be determined, in
you don't know.
every single group. It's kind of hard to pick who's coming out.
Yeah.
And you don't know the entire group. But.
Yeah, they did it during the group picks. They were like, assuming that only these 3 teams are in the group, pick who's going to make it out. But there's going to be 4.
You don't know.
It's not a good assumption. Anyways, also kind of world news, SKT, kind of the Red Detectives did some work and found out via LoLesports.com that the SKT roster was set that they were going to bring Huni and not Untara. They're going to keep Peanut and Blankets, the 2 junglers subbing in and out probably. And Huni gets the nod on top for the entire tournament. That's kind of surprising.
Yeah, I think we both kind of expected that Peanut and Blank would both be coming, but I definitely thought they would probably go with Untara just because he's kind of the safer choice. He's not going to destroy anyone in lane, but he hopefully isn't going to get destroyed. He's just going to kind of be there in that lane presence. I guess SKT feels like they need more pressure from that top lane, which is probably fair with some of the top laners at this tournament. So I think that is a lot of faith and pressure really on Huni. He's a guy who we know can be pretty tilt prone, but when he's at his absolute best, he is an absolute monster, and I think he's definitely got a higher ceiling than Untara.
Yeah, and you know he's going when he starts screaming that holo holo chant or whatever.
Yes. That's when he's popping off.
That means. That's when he's popping off. And I mean, he's just very hit or miss for me, so it's kind of surprising that you're going to go with him for the entire tournament. Even though, yes, he's had some good games. His Maokai was actually pretty solid for SKT down the stretch.
He looked good in that Longzhu series when he subbed in.
He did when he played. Yeah, he had a great Gnar game where he was like outplaying people and had a nice escape. But we'll have to see how he does for them at Worlds. He will be the lone guy there. So SKT, everyone's always wondering, oh, how far can SKT go? Probably pretty far.
Yeah, I think either way, there's going to be either a lot of praise for Huni or a lot of flame for Huni, depending on how well SKT does in this tournament, because you're not really going to place blame on Faker unless he plays really poorly. Don't see that happening. Their bottom lane has been a little not as great as they've been. They've basically been the best bot lane or one of the best bot lanes for several years now. They still are, but I think they're a little below what they've been lately. So I think there will be a bit of added pressure on Huni.
Yeah, that bot lane was definitely at times a little sketchy down the stretches while Bang and Wolf were taking advantage of occasionally.
Which is not something you're used to seeing.
No, but they're still a Faker.
They do. I believe he's still on the team.
He is still on the team last time I checked. Mm-hmm. And they got an interesting group too. We'll get to that in a bit. Yeah, so are you surprised that they went with Huni instead of Untara?
I'm not shocked, but I did expect them to go with Untara instead. But I mean, I'm excited to see Huni play. So he hasn't really had much of a chance lately. Yeah, I think he only played 2 of those 4 games against Longzhu. They subbed him in when they were already down 2-0. So it looked like the reverse sweep was coming when he came in, but didn't happen. So I am excited to see him. He has shown that he's better on some of these tank champions now, like you mentioned. Usually been more of a carry-oriented top laner, but yeah, his Gnar looks great. His Maokai's improved. I don't think we'll be seeing any Lucian, as sad as that is. So good in the mid lane. He should still work in top lane, right? So.
I mean, it only makes sense. Yeah, that Gnar escape there was spectacular. Limping away with like no HP. So he still has the outplay potential. We'll have to see how he does with SKT. But obviously, as Worlds approaches, every team from the West pulls off this boot camp. Everyone, time to go to Korea. Practice.
Now, I don't understand why, since Worlds is in China, why doesn't everyone just go to China early? Like, the Korean teams who are going should go to China early, and then everyone can just boot camp in China. They're there early for the tournament, get accustomed to everything, your surroundings, and be ready. But no, everyone boot camps in Korea. That's the unwritten rule of when you're boot camping. You have to go to Korea. Yeah,
and at this time of year, you always see the highlights coming out of these Western players going over there, making huge plays. Broxastone's with the synergy. Alfari's already in Challenger.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
Pulling off some pretty crazy plays, so good for him over there. That's pretty surprising stuff. But yeah, good on those guys. But yeah, I mean, it'd be pretty funny if all of a sudden the Korean teams went to China for boot camping, and then the Western team still went to Korea, and they're just
they're playing against
solo queue
themselves.
stuff. Yeah,
little EU NA action in Korea because all the other Eastern teams are already in China. That would be very funny. But
would be interesting.
I mean, it's just kind of it's a very different culture in Korea than something in NA, for example. So I think that's part of the reason all these teams go over there. And we'll see how well they use these boot camps because teams use it to very differing degrees. It can be a little... It's not great for team morale if you go to Korea and you scrim a lot of these Korean teams and you get dumpstered pretty consistently. No. I think that's happened with different iterations of some teams like TSM and CLG. They've gone there and just gotten destroyed, and it's kind of broken the team. But I don't think that'll be the case with the teams this year.
Yeah, when the CLG iteration with Dexter, Seraph, and Monty as coach went over there.
That was a mess.
Oh, man. There were some great videos that came out of that boot camp of just the team falling apart. I'm pretty sure that's where Seraph told Dexter never to gank his lane again.
Probably, and people thought Monty just left during scrims. Yeah. He just left. He said he was getting food. There's a lot of... CLG are the kings of that drama. Yeah, not so much anymore. But.
Thoroughly enjoyed it, though.
Yes.
So CLG should just go there anyways, just for some more drama.
Vacation in Korea. Yeah, why not?
All right, let's get to some of these groups. You ready?
I'm ready.
We're gonna start with the kind of the more boring, lamer stuff. We gotta do it. But the play-in stage was announced first. Those 12 teams that haven't necessarily qualified for Worlds, but they still have to go all the way to China just to maybe get eliminated in a week. A little exhausting, but fun. These 12 teams were split into 4 groups of 3. With Pool 1 had obviously the best teams like Fnatic, Cloud9, HK Attitude, the third team of the LMS, and a World Elite, of course. So let's take a look at those groups. First off, Group A, World Elite, Gambit Gaming, and Lion Gaming, or Leon.
There you go.
Yeah, you got to be fancy about it. This is looks like one of the tougher groups with World Elite and Gambit kind of being paired off into the same one.
Yeah, it's definitely the most stacked one in this play, and I think Leon Gaming is they're not that bad. I think you've seen them they've been around for many years, so they have a pretty established brand, so not that bad. And then this group here, Cloud9, definitely big favorites in that group. I think if they don't come out as that top seed, that would be pretty surprising.
It would definitely be pretty surprising, and then there's some hype behind One Gaming out of the CBLOL after a pretty good finals they put together. The Direwolves out of the Oceania Pro League. So I can't say I've watched a ton of Direwolves in One Gaming, but Cloud9 obviously in that Pool 1, so they're the top team there. Once again, here's Fnatic sitting atop Group C. Should be a pretty clear road for them into that best of stage with Young Generation and Chaos Latin Gamer. I don't know if Young Generation's players all have to be under the age of like 15 or something.
Yeah, that's the rule.
That's the rule. Makes sense.
Yeah. Be going through puberty is the key time to get guys. Yeah, Fnatic the big favorite there. Basically, I think the top 4 seeds. The Hong Kong Attitude is the most likely, most potential for upset probably in this group here, but I think they're still the favorites, even so.
Yeah, I know Fenerbache is getting some hype because, first of all, HK, I can't, while it's on the screen, that HK Attitude logo is fantastic.
It's the best logo of all time.
That dragon has so much attitude. Yeah. It's so sassy. Look at him with those sunglasses. Yeah. Man, he's a cool guy.
It is by far the best logo you'll ever see on the planet. But yeah, that means they'll go far, I think. So
I would say so. I mean, they used to be called Hong Kong eSports. I'm glad they changed it.
Well, the attitude definitely fits the logo.
It does.
We mentioned.
But yeah, Fenerbahce is this team that they have Move, believe it or not.
Move. He's going through he wants to play in every region in his career. He's done Korea, NA, EU, the Turkish league now. He's only looking to expand that resume. And the fact that he could maybe get to Worlds before Unicorns of Love did is pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, all calculated. He's going in the wrong direction though. I think you want to go from the Turkish league into NA, into EU, into Korea.
Well, you got NA third there.
But that works too.
You ranked NA third below EU. Oh, I don't know. That's pretty spicy. But
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's definitely going the wrong direction. But yeah, that is a team that has some definite upside. And you've seen some teams from the Turkish league, like Dark Passage has kind of been a team in the past that's pretty strong for some of these not major regions, they have put together some pretty solid teams. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do in that group.
Yeah. So again, 8 teams move on out of those 12 into the best of stage, and then from there you're kind of expecting most of the Pool 1 teams to move on. Maybe Gambit has a chance to do something crazy, but they're going to have a tough matchup, obviously, against one of those. Well, we'll see, because World Elite and Gambit fighting for the top spot in their section.
Yeah, so it's the top 2 from each group advance, and then the first seeds play the second seeds, just like in the World's group stage. So yeah, I think World Elite and Gambit will likely both get out, but Gambit might be in tough. Maybe they draw Hong Kong Attitude, and I think that's the most likely chance that there's going to be an upset in any of these, because again, pretty sure World Elite, Cloud9, and Fnatic are definitely going to lock up that top spot in their respective groups. And then, yeah, unless World Elite somehow gets second, that would be pretty insane if they come out second in that group and then they end up playing a Cloud9 or a Fnatic and only one of those teams are getting through. That would be scary. If you're an NA or EU team and you have to play World Elite.
Yeah. Again, it's kind of an interesting tournament, a tournament before Worlds. So I'm kind of excited for it. Maybe some upsets. But hopefully we can see the best teams move on instead of some crazy, upsets from the Dire Wolves. But I want to see, I want attitude.
Yeah, I want to see that logo as many times, as often as possible throughout the entire tournament. And in terms of C9 and Fnatic, they are going to have played so many games before the actual main draw of Worlds starts. They're lucky they were the final bosses in those gauntlets. If they had to play a couple extra best of series and then play this whole mini Worlds tournament, another best of, it's a lot of games in like what's going to be a month-and-a-half span for them.
Yeah, it's pretty overwhelming. Maybe it's good practice, who knows? But yeah, all of this was before the actual Worlds group stage draw. It's always fun to watch. This time it was a couple of Chinese players. It was Rookie and who's
Amazing J.
Amazing J.
Yeah.
Pulling names out of those little bowls excessively.
I love how they spin it, even when there's 2 left.
Yeah.
There's 2 balls left.
There was 1 left, and the guy was still spinning it around. Like there's only 1. Just pick it up. I don't know. They spend at least 10 seconds just whooshing the balls around, even though they're all contained in a thing, and you can't see inside of them.
I do love when they pull out the little banner and show it to the camera, and it's upside down. That's always great.
He did that with Longzhu, and it was
and
like.
And then he waited like 10 seconds. It was like,
oh, it's upside down.
There it is. That's always great.
It was a great clip. Yeah, I enjoyed that. But yeah, the group stage, they are set. But we'll reveal them in just a sec. But I mean, it's always exciting when even the teams afterwards, they do their reaction videos.
Those are the best. You're always waiting for those.
Yeah, especially AHQ. When they were like, oh, look at this, we're going to be in a good group. And then you see them be like, oh, just devastated. It's like, oh no, what have we done? Screw you, Rookie and Amazing J.
Yeah, it was similar a couple years ago with Reginald and Loco Doco. They were super excited about the group they got. They were jumping up and down. And then whoever it was, Riv or Jat, was like, actually, because of some rules, TSM's actually moved into this group, which was the group of death that year. And they just seeing their faces like, oh no. So those are always pretty priceless to see.
But yeah, good times. All right. You ready for the groups?
Yes.
Or at least 3/4 of the groups?
3/4 of the groups.
All right. We were going to start with Group A.
That's an interesting one to start with, actually. You
I know.
Going alphabetically, that's a pretty bold choice when you're going with stuff like that. But this is like the most stressful part of Worlds. Before even playing, is just seeing what group you're going to get for a lot of these teams. It's basically, you see your percentage of getting out of groups like instantly either be insane or very bad.
Yeah, and this is why AHQ is so upset.
Yeah, I can see why they would be.
They have the top Chinese team in EDG, Edward Gaming, and then SKT got pulled in right after. And as soon as Rookie or Amazing J, I don't remember which one pulled it, but they were like, oh, sorry, Chinese brethren, we screwed you here by pulling SKT. So that's a tough matchup. It seems like AHQ and Edward Gaming are always in the same group. I think SKT and EDG have been in the same group quite a few times as well.
Yeah.
So that's a tough matchup. And then basically anyone except for HK Attitude can be put in here from the play-in qualifier. So, I mean, they could be joined by Cloud9, Fnatic.
Yeah, that's going to be tough for Cloud9 and Fnatic because obviously 2 of the other groups have the NA and EU teams. So there's already 2 groups they're not going to. So it's basically 50-50 for them. Either Fnatic or Cloud9 have a pretty good chance of getting in this group, which looks terrifying.
It does look terrifying, yeah. They can't be joined by World Elite either. So clearly, EDG and SK Telecom are the favorites over AHQ Esports. I know there's some concern over EDG at the moment because their AD carry iBoy has played 23 games in his career. You know, be going up some pretty top tier.
He looks pretty solid though.
Botlins. He has looked solid, but yeah, going up against Bang and Wolf, a lot of people are a little concerned with that matchup, even though Bang and Wolf haven't been performing incredible lately.
Yeah,
so.
They've definitely kind of been on a downward slope lately, like we mentioned. And yeah, iBoy doesn't have that much experience, but I mean, I don't know how huge a knock that is. I mean, you'll see how they perform. You saw Immortals on a big stage. They kind of didn't play at their normal potential, so we'll see if that affects such a young player like iBoy. But if he keeps playing like he has, I think they'll be fine in that bottom lane.
Yeah, so. And then with the LMS, you never really know how strong the region is until you seem to see them at the World Stage. Because I know right now people are saying, oh, it's kind of weak. Even Flash Wolves are not as good as they used to be, and HQ is a team behind them, so we don't know what to expect. But again, on the World Stage, they always seem to outperform expectations, especially with the Flash Wolves and the whole SKT situation.
Yeah.
So who knows? They're kind of a wild card. Maybe they can surprise people with Westdoor Fizz.
Oh boy, I mean, yeah, that's what their sub coming into this is. They're obviously going between him and Chawi, and I feel like Westdoor might not get as many games as you're accustomed to seeing at Worlds. I know he's got a huge fan base, and everyone probably wants to see him playing those assassins like Fizz, but it might not really suit what they're going to do. They did get pretty dumpstered by Flash Wolves in that LMS final, so I'm not too confident coming into AHQ. I don't think they're a huge threat to get out of that group. I mean, right now, before we know that fourth team, it's definitely SKT and EDG, big favorites to get out, and if it is a Cloud9 or a Fnatic...
Likely is at this point, yeah.
They'll have it in tough, but, I mean, they could maybe... I feel like SKT is still more favorited than EDG in this group, despite being that second seed. There's still SKT, and I think, yeah, it'll be tough for Cloud9 or Fnatic, assuming they get in. If Fnatic does get in, though, it'd be pretty interesting to see Fnatic versus Huni.
It would.
Group stage.
That'd be pretty spicy.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah. Again, we'll give like full predictions and who we think is going to get out and like win records and all that stuff once they actually announce the fourth team after this play-in stage. Right now, it's kind of pointless to be
hard to
hey, there's 3 teams. Who's going to move on? Well, that doesn't make any sense.
Assuming so-and-so, too many hypotheticals.
Yeah. TBD is not that great of a team, so I don't think they're going to move on.
That was a team, wasn't it?
I think it
that
was
Robert X. Lee's team for a while.
I'm pretty sure it was called To Be Determined because they couldn't figure out.
That is funny.
It is funny. That was a great team
name.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Look at you.
Yeah, you know.
Showing off that eSports knowledge, huh? Yeah, there you go.
I don't know if knowledge is the right word, but, you know.
Whatever.
Memory bank.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a much better word.
All right. Let's move on to Group B.
Group B.
Where I don't think it could have gone much better if you're the Immortals, at least right now. It could get a lot worse. But, I mean, yes, you have Longzhu in your group. Oh, no, they're the top team from Korea.
Great.
But you also got the Gigabyte Marines who, they've taken a bit of a step back from previous years, big roster change. Even their coach is like, we're not as good as we were, which is always a good sign. That's what you want to hear.
That's something you want to be saying heading into a major tournament.
That's not ideal. But Song, the coach of Immortals, used to be with Longzhu, so a little inside information perhaps.
Yeah, and I forget who it was on Longzhu, but one of the players said, oh, you know, too bad Immortals is in our group. Almost like they were, like, didn't want to play a good team like Immortals, which is kind of like, okay, settle down. Settle down. But, I mean, for NA in general, these first 2 teams, we'll get to the other groups later, you have got to be happy. They lose that Pool 1 seed because of their poor performance at MSI, and both teams come away with pretty amazing groups.
Yes.
I mean, yes, again, Immortals could probably still get World Elite or Fnatic or something in there.
Yeah, the only team they can't get is Cloud9, basically.
Right. So, again, it depends who that final team is, but basically, whoever it is, I think they're competing with them for that second spot, and whether it's Fnatic or World Elite, because those are probably the top 2 that will be coming in, I think they have a chance to get out over either of them. So definitely happy for Immortals. That group could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, I mean, that could have been the second team out of China, which would definitely make things a little uglier for them. Because at least now even if it's Fnatic or World Elite, you're like, oh, all right, we got a spot. Even though people are saying World Elite's like the best team out of China this year, coming in as that third seed, kind of getting screwed into the play-ins or whatever. But yeah, for Immortals, you're thrilled. It really can't go much better. And I mean, Smithy's got world experience. The only concern with Immortals, of course, is how they kind of looked nervous in the finals against TSM. And this is an even bigger stage. So hopefully they learn from that and they can make some things happen with that Cody Sun and Ole bot lane. But I mean, if you got Gigabyte Marines in your group, that's probably the weakest of the pool 2 teams outside of maybe AHQ.
Yeah, so obviously they're definitely happy with that. Yeah, and I think it was just that Immortals bot lane specifically that kind of stuck out in the finals against TSM. I think the top half, because yeah, Smithy and Pobelter have been in stuff like that. Flame has played in big matches throughout his career. He's a big-time veteran of the scene. So yeah, it's just that bot lane, and I think that exposure to big crowds and stuff like that, I think they'll be more comfortable playing on this world stage. And regardless of who comes in, I don't think there's a huge amount of pressure on Immortals, because as per usual in Worlds and with NA, all the pressure will be on TSM. Everyone will be looking at them. Immortals, I think there's so much less pressure on them. I think they can play a little more freely and just be more aggressive, especially a guy like Ole can just kind of roam and take over games more. So yeah, it should feel pretty good.
I think they could take some teams from surprise, maybe even take a game off Longzhu in that group stage. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know.
When you don't have pressure, you can do some crazy things.
Yeah.
Also, before we move on to Group C, Gigabyte Marines have just been being like, man, I can't wait to pull out all these cheese compositions. I'm like, oh no, what do you have planned? And I think it was even you who was like, yeah, there might be lane swaps against Khan to get away from that matchup. I'm like, it's not season 5.
Well, Archie is now their top laner.
Yeah, he was not a top laner before.
He's already been known to be a guy whose mechanics are not nearly top notch. So he was support, and you can kind of hide your mechanics a bit more there. You still need to be landing skill shots quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, if he goes straight up 1v1 against Khan on a Jace or some other carry type champion, that is going to be disgusting. They're going to have to turn off the stream because it'll be inappropriate for people to watch. So Gigabyte Marines, I was kind of hyped to see them come in, but the more I kind of look into them and hear what other people are saying about them, maybe it's not going to be so exciting. Let's get to see Levi, though.
Yeah.
He's good.
I'm always ready for some cheese, though. Hit me with the cheese.
If you're coming in as a team that no one's really expecting you to do much, you got to come in with the cheese. That's the secret to Worlds, you know. You got to play the brand support. You got to play some crazy picks. Let's see some Ezreal jungle. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's see it all. Oh, there's definitely going to be Ezreal jungle.
Yep.
But all right, let's go to Group C. Group C, and this is the terrifying one. This is the rough group. And guess what? TSM is not in it this time. Hey, but G2 is. G2 got the group of death.
Yeah, so congrats on your Pool 1 seed. You got screwed over. But this is pretty much the opposite of what happened to TSM last year. They literally had the same 2 teams in their group, Samsung and RNG. And TSM, or NA, was the region with a Pool 1 seed, and Europe wasn't. And they had an easier group, and now they have the harder group. So the MSI seeding thing doesn't really matter, apparently, but that is a tough group.
The only way it could be harder, really, is if it was SKT instead of Samsung. And also, this group could easily have Cloud9 added to it, which, you know, makes it 4 pretty good teams in that group fighting for 2 spots. But yeah, if you're G2, you can't be overly excited with what you see here. RNG with Uzi is just so aggressive.
Yeah.
They're hard to play against, and G2 is not necessarily a team that strives in the early game. So that's definitely a concern. And then with Samsung, again, they've been solid and clutching the gauntlet as well to come out of there with the victory over KT Rolster. And again, they usually put it on another level at Worlds. Crown with some Viktor action.
Yep.
Hopefully we've seen some of that. But yeah, poor G2. Yeah, that is rough.
I think if C9 gets in there, then that completes the circle of death. And it's, I mean, I think Samsung, again, be a big favorite coming out of there. But I think outside of those 3, if Cloud9 gets in, again, this is where the stupid hypotheticals come in.
That's right.
Then I think you could make an argument for any one of those 3 to maybe squeak out that 2nd seed. But G2, a lot like TSM, I think they've got a lot of pressure on them, even though they've got a pretty tough group. They've had pretty poor Worlds showings in their history. They've completely dominated the EU scene, but haven't really put it together in Worlds, so there's a lot of pressure on them for that. And I think all these past international blunders has only made them stronger for this moment. And I mean, Perks had a great tweet. He said something along the lines of "nice group, easy 6-0." Obviously, he's kidding, but it's just I love his personality and just it's not even trash talking. Just the way he's so overconfident that you know he's not being serious, that he's that overconfident. But I love seeing that. So.
Yeah, I mean, when you see that group, you can't be defeated by it. You just got to be like, okay, this is going to be an interesting time.
Yeah.
But that's the group to watch so far. Because, man, every game is going to be like, I don't know who's going to win.
I mean, RNG could, I feel like they could easily somehow go on a crazy roll and get first in that group, or they could just completely poop the bed and like go 2-4 or something.
Yeah.
Not even be close to getting out of
That's
that
just
group.
such a wild team.
Yeah.
Especially with MLXG in the jungle. He does some nutty stuff. And Uzi, again, he's a top tier AD carry. He hasn't been at Worlds as much as you would expect based on his individual skill. But yeah, it's always fun to see him going up against some bot lanes. Sven and Mithy going up against Uzi is going to be a good time.
Yeah, I think there's some pretty premier bot lanes across there. All three teams.
All three teams.
So.
And then Sneaky and Smoothie when they get piled in.
That's right. The Sneaky and Lane LoL. We'll see how that turns out. But it's a crazy group. That is the group you don't want to be in.
No.
If you're
for anybody.
Cloud9 or whoever the other top seed out of that play-in tournament is. You don't want Group C.
You do not.
Because it is C for see you later. You're not getting out of Group.
Wow. Yeah, you spelling C with a...
That's right. That's how you spell it.
C, yeah.
I went to school.
All right. Good stuff. Let's get to the final group. We haven't seen TSM yet. Where's TSM?
Are they at Worlds?
I don't know.
I thought they didn't qualify.
No, they didn't. But again, if you're North America and you're TSM, usually you're used to being like, oh, that group looks pretty awful. But this time around,
it's
TSM
a dream.
In Group D have an excellent draw for them.
Yep.
So that's pretty exciting. They are going to be in the group of life, as it's called, at least for TSM, because, this is something where anything can happen, and they've been paired with Misfits, along with the Flash Wolves. And if you have a Pool 1 team, Flash Wolves are definitely the weakest of those squads that got nominated for that Pool 1 spot.
Yeah, so you already basically won a lottery there, avoiding Longzhu, G2, and EDG.
Yes.
That's by far the best one you want because, Flash Wolves hasn't looked as great as they have coming into other worlds, and people always do look down a bit on the LMS compared to some of the other regions. They do show up at Worlds, but still, that's the top seed you want if you have the choice. And Misfits, I mean, I think the hype derailed for them pretty quickly after that finals against G2. And if you really think about it, it's basically like a month stretch, not even a month stretch of the year that they've actually been a good team. Because people forget that the whole regular season, it was like, this team is not good and will not do well in playoffs or maybe not make playoffs. But then they went on a crazy run in the playoffs for basically 3 series. And you're like, okay, that's not a very big time frame where they've actually been good. Whereas a team like TSM has been pretty consistently good for a year now. And, well, obviously their whole history. But this iteration, this sprint looked pretty solid throughout the playoffs. So I think they're favorites over those two teams. TSM, that is.
Yeah, TSM's definitely, I would say, favorite over those two teams. Flash Wolves could be a tough test, but I think against Misfits they'll hold up pretty well. I mean, who knows what Misfits can do? Maybe they'll turn it around again. They had some really good early games. They can take advantage of TSM early and Flash Wolves and then actually get their late game fixed again, even though G2 kind of showed that Misfits haven't really ironed out all their problems just yet. But I do think amongst those 3 teams, TSM is the favorite. The only problem is Fnatic cannot go in that group, Cloud9 cannot go in that group, and HK Attitude cannot go in that group. That leaves either one of those wildcard teams or World Elite, which would be devastating because automatically World Elite goes to the top of that tier list. Even though they're in this play-in, World Elite would still be probably favored over guys like TSM and the Flash Wolves. Yeah,
so it is very likely that it's going to be World Elite unless there's, barring some upset from one of the top teams.
Exactly.
And the most likely, again, being Hong Kong Attitude. So they basically need to not get through the play-in for it not to be World Elite. And Sure, then TSM's in a little bit more trouble, but I mean, for not having a Pool 1 seed, this is the best chance TSM's going to get. And for a team that, I mean, they have gotten kind of shafted by some group draws in the past, this is the best you could hope for. And right now you're looking at they should probably finish first in that group. Sure, when World Elite comes in, I think they could still maybe fight with them for that top seed, but maybe they come in that second seed. But this is the best chance you're going to get to fight for that top spot. And that's basically what you need if you want to get through quarters. Because if you come in as a second seed, not much of a chance getting out of quarters playing one of those top teams from the other group. So this is it, TSM. If they don't get out of this group, oh, man.
Yeah.
Reggie not going to be happy.
Blow it up.
Blow it up.
But yeah, I mean, we said that if World Elite makes it, then yes, this looks a little rough. Or at least more difficult for TSM, but say HK Attitude doesn't make it through, and like a team like Gambit or Fenerbache, and then they take that spot, all of a sudden this group looks incredibly weak, and TSM and even like guys like Misfits have a chance. So it could go either way. It all depends again on who gets qualified, which is why making these predictions are so stupid. These are just like our first impressions of these 4 groups. We're not going to lock it down and be like, TSM guaranteed to make it out of this group because they're the best of those 3. That's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, but even if World Elite gets in that group, TSM should still be getting out of there. It'll just maybe be as a second seed. But if World Elite comes in and TSM doesn't get out of that group, if they have some kind of, they go 3-3 and kind of lose a tiebreaker or like drop both games to Flash Wolves or something, I mean, it's going to be tough for that org, and I think it will be a lot of changes. This is the best chance they're going to get out of groups and actually make some legitimate noise at Worlds, which they haven't done in a while. NA hasn't done in a while.
No, I mean, the last time TSM got out of the groups was 2014. And then the past 2 years, it's been...
right, when they lost to Samsung White with Amazing.
Amazing.
Said if a couple of things changed, they would have won that series, which I don't really believe that. But yeah, TSM definitely thirsty for getting out of Worlds groups.
Yes.
Thirsty.
And C9, of course. They're the guys who usually get out of groups in terms of North America, or at least barely don't get out of groups.
I mean,
whatever,
last year was kind of the saddest way I've ever seen a team to get out of groups. They have a chance to clinch that spot. They lose it. They're 3-3. They lose another chance to get out, and then AHQ loses to SKT, and it's like, great, you got out, C9. Yeah.
Hey.
And then you get 3-0'd by Samsung pretty convincingly. So that wasn't exactly making noise, I would say.
Fair enough.
So.
Yeah, Samsung loves sweeping these
poor
the
Western
teams.
Yeah.
It was H2K last year.
Yeah, as soon as the hype rises up, they just 6-0 them back-to-back and crush all the Western teams. So
good time.
Good fun.
All right. So we'll get to some questions.
We shall.
All right. Remember, if you have any questions, hit us up. Let us know.
We'll be reading some for a bit.
Yeah. If you have thoughts on these groups as well, put them in that chat. Give us what you think.
People got lots of thoughts on these groups.
I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff. All right, Eric. SHA Chase, will Gambit make it to groups, do you think?
Again, much like the World's groups, it's kind of the luck of the draw. I think they're probably going to finish second in their group with World Elite in there. So I think their best chance is if they draw the top seed from Group D, I think, whatever, if they draw Hong Kong Attitude or if someone upsets them in that group, their best chance is to draw one of them. And I think they have a chance against them. But if they get any of the other top groups, it would probably be C9 or Fnatic, then I don't think they're getting out of there in a best of against Cloud9 or Fnatic.
Yeah, it's a cool looking roster that I would actually like to see at Worlds.
A lot of nostalgia there.
Diamond Prox is there. Edward is there. Yep. Our friends from Albus Nox previously. Kira is there.
Role swaps.
PvP Steos.
The top lane now.
I know. It's crazy. So who knows? Maybe they can make some noise. But yeah, again, I'm with you. They probably lose out to World Elite in Group A and move on as a second seed. And then either Fenerbahce or HK Attitude would need to be the matchup for them to have a realistic chance at moving on to the World's groups.
But who knows? We saw Gigabyte Marines almost beat TSM way back. MSI play-in, so
that's
you never know what could go
down. For those asking, when are the play-ins? They start September 23rd. So not this weekend, but the weekend following. I believe it's the weekend. Today's what, the 13th? 10 days from now.
Oh, shit. You're making me do that math? I'm not doing that math.
Confirmation.
I believe it's a Saturday.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. I'd live, just by number. I don't know what's going on outside of that. Very confusing.
It's a bad way to live, man.
Saturday 23rd. Confirm. Lock it down, everyone.
I'm ready.
Clear your calendars or fill your whatever. I don't care.
Get a calendar. First
get a
of all.
calendar.
No one even
that's
has calendars these days.
on my phone.
Who has a phone?
All right, yeah, that's true. Buddha 47. Could you rank the world's groups by strength? We'll do it based on what we see now, because again, it can change so much based on who gets placed into these things. Obviously,
Number 1 being strongest.
yeah, number 1 being the toughest. Group C.
Yeah.
With G2, Samsung, and RNG, definitely the toughest group so far.
Definitely. Then probably
Group A with SKT and
EDG and AHQ.
Yeah.
And then again, also you're going to get a probably tough third seed in there in either
likely a Fnatic
or
Cloud9, I guess.
Yeah, I had to think about that.
This is getting very complicated. Yeah.
And then, is it Group B? It might even Group D might be harder.
Group B is difficult because they've got Longzhu.
Yeah, but I think sure. So that seed's gone. Then it's basically 3 teams fighting for that second spot. Is that harder?
I don't know. This one I think is even until we find out who the 4th team is.
Yeah, that'll hold pretty big implications.
Because TSM, man, my mind has gone blank with all these teams floating around in my head.
Misfits
and
Flash
Wolves. Thank you. Compared to Longzhu, Immortals, and the Marines.
Yeah, I think it's basically B and D are pretty easy. A and C are pretty insanely difficult.
There you go.
There's 2 easy ones and 2 difficult ones. So
at least for now.
For now.
With 3 teams in the group.
Yeah.
Yes. They shouldn't have even done the pick until this was decided.
I guess they want
the hype. Yes.
They want the hype, and it's going to be so long if they wait until after the play-in for these teams. They're not going to know who to prep against. At least now, the teams that know their groups, they know 2 teams they can be prepping for. They can start doing it right away during their boot camp. Coaching staffs can look at VODs from these teams because I'm sure a lot of these teams. Do they watch much Gigabyte Marines Immortals? Probably
not.
Probably only watch them against TSM to laugh at their NA rivals. But just gives these guys more prep time. I don't know. I don't know what their approach is.
Good point.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it.
I'm glad.
At JR06 on Twitter, would it help TSM if they picked up Jankos and Mithy as replacements? I don't think it would hurt them. Those are pretty good players. They might be a little
I don't think
Filterino.
there's anything wrong with Biofrost.
No,
I don't think that he needs any replacing. I mean, I think across the roster they're fine, but the one guy they could replace and more likely get an immediate upgrade, I think, would be Sven Skaren. But I feel bad. Everyone kind of chirps on the guy. He's not bad by any means.
I think he fills his role fine, to be honest with you. I don't think you need another guy who can carry a game necessarily. I mean, Jankos would be more aggressive. But Sven is a guy who kind of holds his own and protects guys like Bjergsen and Doublelift from getting camped and stuff. So I think he plays his role pretty well for what TSM wants to do.
I think Jankos would be interesting just because I feel like on pretty much every iteration of a team that he's been on, he's felt like, I got to carry, I got to do something, and all the pressure has been on him, and you've seen him collapse under that pressure pretty frequently, I would say, in playoffs and big tournaments. H2K always looks great until playoffs come around. So maybe on a team with Bjergsen and Doublelift, that pressure isn't on him as much, but I mean, that might affect his play style. I don't know how big an upgrade he would be over Sven right away.
Yeah, I'm not too sure either. I think, again, TSM as a roster right now is pretty solid. For the first time, they're taking the same roster to back-to-back Worlds tournaments, so that in alone tells you that they kind of believe in what they got going on. Sure, the Wild Turtle was there for a split, but they're obviously happy with what they have. Biofrost, like you said, is very solid, and you saw it in the past series too.
He was
when
amazing.
He gets his hand on like Rakan and stuff, he can make plays when he needs to. He can also play Karma when he needs to. So
yeah, he's shown he can be these heavy engaged guys or more supportive. It's whatever fits a team comp. Some games Doublelift's the featured carry of a comp with Bjergsen on Galio or something. So yeah, I'll pick someone to support Doublelift, or if they need engage. He's pretty versatile. So is Mithy. Mithy's great.
Yeah, again, they're both fine.
Yeah.
Better than fine. Fine's that.
Both average.
Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't use the term fine. We all know what that means.
Yes.
Not fine.
Not fine. It's opposite day.
That's right.
Every day.
All right. Fast and Zuri 8. What do you think is the chance Fnatic or C9 make it out of the Worlds groups? Very dependent.
Yeah.
Very dependent because, as we said, Cloud9 could get placed into that group of death with G2, in which case their chance is
5%.
very close to nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because RNG, Samsung, G2 already there. So it's hard to answer that question based on the knowledge we have so far.
Yeah, if they can only land in 2 groups because Immortals and TSM are in 2 of the groups. So C9 is either landing in that group C, which is the group of death, or they're landing in Group A, which already has EDG and SKT.
So it's not looking good for Cloud9.
Yeah, I think it's pretty low chance for C9 to get out of groups because they got some tough matchups. Fnatic also only have 2 groups they could land into. They're either going with
A or B.
A or B. So again, you got SKT or EDG. Pretty tough to knock down one of them.
But Group B, not bad.
If they get in Group B, I think Fnatic has a pretty good chance of getting out of groups.
Yeah, because that's the Marines, Immortals, and the Longzhu group.
I could see them getting second pretty, not easily, but I would favor them to get second over Immortals.
Over Immortals? That'd be a good series. Well, not a good series. 2 good best of ones, I guess, is what the...
2 good games.
Yeah.
But
ooh, that's...
based on how these groups have played out, I think Fnatic has a better chance than C9.
Yeah, based on that little analytical breakdown we just did in our heads. Very impressive. Wow,
pretty crazy.
My head hurts a little bit, to be honest with you. All right. Colin, what do you think is most likely to be the group of death? That is Group C, as we said, yeah. And D is interesting, too, considering World Elite has a big chance to join them. That is, World Elite makes that group a lot less nice for TSM.
A lot less nice. Yeah, that's the way to put it. I think, again, without World Elite, TSM should get first. With World Elite, TSM should get at least second. Maybe they could fight for first.
Maybe.
I think they could split with World Elite. They could go 1-1.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you.
It's not too hard a thing to do.
No, it's not. It's not too hard a thing to do. All right. Sebastian Perez. Which players will have good performances and bad performances at groups? Who do you think's going to crap the bed, so to say? In the
Crap the bed, so to say.
Or you know how they say.
Yeah, I think. Very interesting. Got to dive into the nitty gritty here. I could see Huni destroying groups, and then maybe after that, not destroying. But I think we're gonna see 2 different Hunis come groups and the elimination stage. He's either gonna be terrible in groups, and SKT will still get out, and then he'll be lights out Huni, super carry, amazing Huni in the bracket stage, or you reverse that, he dominates the group and not so great in the bracket. But I can see 2 totally different Hunis between those 2, and for someone who might just completely poop the bed, that's interesting. I don't want to say Jensen.
Oh no,
because I think he'll have some redemption from last World and from these playoffs. But if he poops the bed, he will never hear the end of it. He gets a lot of undeserved flack, I feel like.
Yes, he does.
So I'm hoping he puts up a great performance, but I think there's a chance he doesn't. Assuming Cloud9 gets in.
Wow.
Yeah.
One guy who might not have a great performance
there it is.
Archie, obviously. We kind of mentioned it before.
That's a pretty easy pick.
Hey, it's a question. I answered it. All right, come on now. The support player turned top player. Not
I think his career miite be ended after the group stage. It'll be rough.
After Flame and Khan have their way with it.
It's gonna be rough.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Fnatic gets in there too. He's gonna get Soaz. Good night. Good night.
Archie's done. See, Kiwi Kid did it the right way. You start in the top lane, and then you go to support.
And then you get most deaths as top and most deaths as support. You get both records.
There you go.
Smart.
Good work, Kiwi Kid.
Yeah.
Would like to see you at Worlds next year. Don't think it'll happen.
Hey, you never know.
You never know. Pakilla, who do you think will go to Worlds as top laner for SKT? Well, it looks like it's going to be Huni after some detective work by our Reddit friends out there.
Shout out.
So we don't have to answer that
because
it's Huni.
It's Huni, and it's very interesting. I think that is more interesting than Antara because, we've talked about it. You can kind of flip a coin with Huni sometimes. Dominate or get dominated.
I would say every game you can flip a coin and see what happens.
Yep. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is. Sebastian Perez also asked, what position is most stacked at Worlds?
That's interesting.
That is a good one.
Have to think about that a bit.
I think there's a lot of good AD carries heading over there.
There are a lot of good ADs.
You look at EU, they're sending Reckless and Sven.
Yeah.
North America with Double Lift. Cody's son doesn't get a lot of recognition, but he's pretty good in North America. And Sneaky, who might be good this year, might not. Uzi, obviously.
Yeah, I think it's probably ADs. And then you also got Prey, got Bang, who's always amazing. Except not lately, as we've talked about. But yeah, I think AD is probably the most interesting. Really just bot lanes in general. I think there's been so much 2v2ing going on.
It's great.
Pretty much across all the regions. The days of the painstakingly awful to watch lane swaps, 2v1s with Mundos throwing cleavers under the turret trying to CS. Those are no more. You got 2v2 fights. I mean, Reckless and Jezzas are slaughtering people 2v2. Don't think that'll happen. Well, maybe if they get in the Marines group, they might pick on them. But I mean, they're not going to be beating up on Prey and Gorilla for sure. I think Cody Sun and Olay hold their own, but it's going to be very interesting seeing those 2v2 skirmishes and duels. So
there you go. Yeah, I'm excited for some 2v2 bot lanes. Finally, down with the 1v2 meta.
3v2s.
And 3. Well, whatever. Yeah, that's cool.
It's Forgiven would say always 3v2. Kept my lane.
Yeah, poor Forgiven. Buddha 47. Top 3 players going to Worlds and an all-pro Worlds team. Oh, boy.
Oh.
Well, we can say Con and Faker as probably top 2. And then who would the third be? This is the spicy part. I don't know. There's a lot of players going to Worlds.
You might want to throw in Prey.
You can throw in Prey. You could throw in Uzi.
Throw in Uzi.
Or UZI. Man, what does he want?
He's been... Some of those LPL, the finals, there was some questionable frontlining as Ash.
He's very aggressive.
Doing. Yeah. It was a little questionable, some of those plays. I might put Prey in there. He's had a pretty... I mean, their bot lane was so rock solid for Longzhu the whole split, and they feed that whole team fuel through them. So those would probably be my top 3. An all-pro team, oh boy. That's tough. Well, you probably put...
a lot of Koreans. Con, Faker.
I'd put Prey. Yeah, Faker.
Prey, yeah. And then...
Jungler.
Yeah, jungle gets interesting. I mean, Kaisa's a pretty good split with Longzhu.
Yeah.
MLXG. Get some praise. Eric doesn't like MLXG.
Throwing my boy Levi.
Levi! There you go. X-Mithy. There. Jungler is pretty open. Support's open too.
Yeah, there's a lot of good supports.
There's a lot. But yeah, those 3 guys, obviously.
Yeah, Con, Faker, Prey, I think. Pretty
Sounds
solid.
good. I'd take that team.
Yeah, just those 3. Don't need 2 other players.
Yeah. Do you think there's a chance that Gambit / Fenerbache makes it to Worlds? Again, it's very dependent. Fenerbache has an even tougher time because, well, I guess if they get the first seed in Group D in the play-ins, then they have a decent chance of taking down one of those Pool 2 teams. That's
the 2 teams that are most likely to upset one of these top 4 seeds. It's either going to be Gambit knocking off Hong Kong Attitude or whoever's that top seed, or Fenerbahce taking over that top spot from Hong Kong Attitude. So outside of that, don't see many upsets happening. Yeah,
so I think Fenerbahce's chance is probably better than Gambit, just because they have an easier group in terms of taking that first spot to get a better matchup in the best of 5. So
yeah, and then the dream is they play each other.
Yeah, exactly. All right. There's some weird thing going on with the tab. That's all right. I'll survive.
You'll survive?
Yeah, I'll make it.
Okay, that's good. I was worried for a second.
That's okay. End the stream. It's over. All right. Thoughts on Huni? We kind of mentioned that earlier in the VOD. And then Peanut and Blank going as the 2 junglers. Do you think they should have maybe taken 2 top laners instead, or stay with the 2 jungler business?
No, they've seemed pretty comfortable with that. Peanut and Blank subbing them out. It's basically, I feel like they'll even be subbing them out in group stages just to kind of pick, I don't know, who they think's playing better heading into the bracket stage, who they think is making the team play better. They've shown they can play. They've both basically come in and looked amazing when they haven't played for a while. So I think they just bring 2 unique outlooks to the game, 2 unique play styles, and I think having a jungler watching the games is basically like another coach. They're more comfortable looking at the whole game as a macro scope more so than a top laner maybe who might just be kind of focusing on that lane. The jungler's kind of looking at everything. So I think that'll help them in between games.
Yeah, I think it's a good decision. Again, they both bring kind of different play styles, like make things happen. Blank's more of a predictive, calculated guy. Peanut's just like, I'm going to go
get some kills.
Kill people, which is, it works. So maybe even be a better strategy in the groups. They just let Peanut roam wild and then you bring in Blank.
I mean, you did see him against some weaker teams. There was that Gigabyte Marine series at MSI where he had like 15 kills on Lee Sin by like 15 minutes. So, yeah, maybe against H2K.
Yeah.
AHQ.
There you go.
He might try and style on some people. So.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then follow-up question from Arthur. Who do you think will make it out of the play-in? And if C9 makes it, how will they hold their own? Again, probably C9 Fnatic, World Elite, obviously. And then either HKA or Fenerbache/Gambit. So one of those three.
Gambit. I like Gambit
Gambit's
pulling an upset,
nice.
except, again, they have to get lucky.
And then Cloud9's basically screwed.
Cloud9 is
the group
donezo.
That's
I
right.
feel like.
Congrats on making it to groups.
Yeah, you played all these games, went through this gauntlet. Good night. But
yeah. All right, lots of questions. So let's crank them out here, Eric. Christian, which teams do you predict to reach the final? Gonna be pretty creative here.
You're gonna pick
Longzhu and SKT guys. Wow, look at that. That's pretty cool.
I see them playing in semis because
that's a cheap shot.
These brackets always work out like that.
God,
so
man.
I am seeing Longzhu beating SKT
in the semis.
Yes, and they'll play. Oh boy, I mean,
you're gonna be creative and say Samsung.
Insert team. No, I don't think it's Samsung. I think they play a non-Korean team. Maybe Uzi comes back for his, the
RNG revenge.
The classic RNG second place. By the way, it's not a knock to finish second at Worlds.
That's pretty good.
If he did it 3 times in a row, not in a row, sorry, 3 times in his career, that'd be pretty insane. But I want to be bold and like pick a Western team or something.
That'd be pretty bold.
I don't see that happening. So EDG maybe.
Who knows?
No, World Elite. I take it.
Yeah, well, there you go. They could make some noise potentially.
World Elite. Longzhu World Elite.
Oh.
And of course the Korean overlords continue to win.
Yes. But yeah, the whole second place thing. Wow, you're only the second best in the world twice.
Yeah.
You're really trash.
How about not getting out of groups?
Yeah. Doesn't work like that in the Olympics. Man, that guy finished silver all those times.
Trash can.
Get out of here.
That's barely a medal.
Might not even get one.
Yeah.
It's pretty rude.
It's very rude. And you're at the forefront of that. You're always saying that.
Yeah, I make fun of Uzi every day.
Terrible.
Yeah, that's right. SHA Chase. Will China finally stop underperforming at Worlds? I mean, the thing with China is internationally, they pretty much go like 50-50 with the Western teams.
Yeah.
NA and EU usually stand up pretty well against them. But, I mean, you saw the Rift Rivals. I don't know if it means anything. Probably not. But the LPL actually beat the LCK. So maybe that's a sign of things to come. But
they usually put up a pretty good fight against Korea. But, yeah, against Western teams who are usually the lesser teams,
so to say,
compared to Korea and China. I think they just play they play so different, so much more differently than a lot of the other regions that either it doesn't work against the play style against some of the other regions, or other regions don't know how to play to it. So it's a pretty big advantage to either side in a lot of these games. And I mean, in these best of ones, I mean, you don't have time to be like, oh, that's how they play. Because you're like, okay, they lost. We play again in 2 hours. So, okay. Or, all right, we beat them. Okay. And I don't know how that happened. We'll play the next game. And then you lose the next game. There's so many variables in these best of ones. And there's almost no time to change after you've played a team once. There's not much turnaround time. So
there really isn't. No. Always a fun time at Worlds with the best of ones.
That's true.
Always a fun time. Couple questions from Pakila we'll get to quick. 1, do you agree Khan's the best player in the world? And 2, do you think Longzhu is truly the best team in Korea? About Longzhu, I'd probably say they're the best right now. It's hard to argue after they just took care of SKT.
Yeah,
I don't think it was a fluke.
There's pretty much your only argument would be, I mean, history and the precedent that SKT has set with their World's performances looking for a three-peat, which is insane.
That's nuts.
But I feel like, yeah, Longzhu proved that they're the best team when they knocked off SKT. It's hard to argue right now.
It is.
And Khan, he's pretty good. He might be the best player coming into this Worlds.
I mean, he's probably by far the best top laner. By far.
Yeah, nice meme.
Spam it up there.
Same. Yeah, I think he probably is, yeah. Much like Smeb was last year. A lot of love for the top lane at these Worlds.
That's right. Philip Paul is a very important question.
Okay, here we go.
Why do I get to wear a cool yellow shirt and you get to wear a boring gray one?
Well,
Eric.
Matt is a big fan of Curious George. And before we came on, he said, I need to wear this yellow shirt. I want to be like the man in the yellow hat. Don't have a hat, only have a shirt. Can I please wear it? And I said, Matt, okay, it's fine. I'll just wear gray and make you stand out more so you can showcase it. So the things I do for you, you know.
It's a great book. Series of books, movies.
Movie,
too,
cartoon. I feel like there was a TV show.
Probably was.
It's great stuff. Comics. Probably got a comic book.
Audiobooks.
Audio books.
Did your parents never read you Curious George?
No, I read it myself. I was a very smart child.
Show off.
So, read my own books. Great question, though, there, Phil.
It is a great question.
Yeah.
We answer the important stuff here
Yeah,
first.
you do stick out an absurd amount.
I didn't know how bright it would be. This is insane. It's very...
I should have brought sunglasses.
I don't think anyone's looked at you the entire stream.
No.
Definitely not.
Put the hand on the screen so you can't see. They just want to look at your bright shirt.
I feel like I'm in one of those glow-in-the-dark mini golf courses. Would be a good time.
I don't know if that would work in the dark. Maybe. I think the lights bring it out.
I don't know, man. All right, that's enough of that. Philip Paul's nephew loves Curious George. Look at that.
There you go.
See?
Just
he had
for
a
him.
cake, a Curious George cake.
Really? Wow.
Give me one, Eric.
I had a Barney cake.
Well, Barney's pretty cool, too. Where's your purple shirt, idiot? Come on, man.
That's a good
What are
point.
you doing?
I do have a purple shirt. Maybe I'll wear it next time.
All right, let's get some questions going.
These are questions.
You're right.
That one's hard to top.
It is.
Better be a good one.
Let's see. Let me scroll here through this stuff. Pakillo, do you think we will see some carry top laners? Well, Khan is definitely a guy, but in terms of champions, I don't know. We're starting to see some more guys that can actually have an impact in that top lane, like Kummel. Nars like kind of a pseudo carry, and then obviously Jace, depending on who's handed in.
Who's handed it?
Who's handed it? Just ignore what I said. And keep
I'll
going.
just go with it. You don't think you'll see Jax? Darshan's not there,
Jax.
so you might not see Jax. I think some people could play Jax.
Good point.
He's a pretty terrifying champion when he snowballs and gets ahead. There's basically no one in the game who can 1v1 him. But we talked about how strong the ADs are. There's a lot of strong top laners too who can definitely put on their carry pants. So yeah, I think some of those champions might come in. They put a little change to Fiora on 7/18.
Yeah.
It's like a minor buff. I don't know if that'll make a difference.
Now is 7/18 the Worlds patch or is it 7/17?
I believe it's 7/18 with Ornn disabled.
Without Ornn, right? Okay, yeah. I got you. That's why I was confused.
Yeah, so maybe that'll bring Fiora back, but I feel like Fiora's still a pretty strong champion in the right team comp. So let's see some carry guys. I hope.
Yeah, I hope so. It's definitely more interesting than Maokai.
Yeah, I was a little surprised there weren't any Maokai nerfs. That means he's going to be picked a lot.
And Cho'Gath. Wow. Hey, you're low.
Hey, you're at full.
Yeah.
You're dead anyways.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. All right. Who do you think is going to win every group without taking into consideration who may come into the groups? So I appreciate the second part because, yes, that's could be a huge factor.
Who's going to win each group?
Yes.
Just win.
SKT at a group 1, group A.
Yeah.
Longzhu at a group B.
Yeah.
Samsung at a group C.
Yeah.
There's a trend here. I don't know if you caught it.
I see what's
going on. And then TSM
at
a group D.
There it is.
Look at that.
TSM. 3 Koreans and TSM.
I said it.
That sounds like a joke. 3 Korean teams and TSM.
Walk into a bar.
Yeah.
Walk into an eSports bar.
I don't think that's necessary.
I don't know, man. Every time people that don't know anything about esports just throw E's in front of things and all this.
That's true. An E-bar.
An E-bar.
Walk into an E-bar. Yeah. Those are the 4 top teams.
Yeah. With
no other teams coming in.
I sure love e-gaming, Eric.
E-gaming. E-computers.
Yeah. Pretty redundant, but that's okay. Roller Dino Gaming. Thoughts on Viktor? What do you think about Viktor? Cool guy.
I know a few Viktors.
Do you?
They're all right, chaps. Not the best, but Viktor's a champion. I mean, he's got insane wave clear. He's got, anytime you have pretty buffed up auto attacks, it's pretty good for killing turrets, killing buildings. I feel like he's kind of a bit like Orianna, where I feel like almost any mid laner can play him, and he's never necessarily meta. Well, actually, he was meta for a very long time. But I think even though he's kind of fallen out of the meta, he's still a guy you can pick. We've seen Huni, a couple other guys play him in NA. I think you might see, if teams are focused on a lot of mid lane bans, I think Viktor's a pick that a lot of guys could fall back on. And he's not bad.
No, he's definitely in like the second tier behind all those premier guys like the Lucians, the Oriannas, the Syndras, the guys we've been seeing for months without change now.
Yep.
So that's always fun. But
good news is there's going to be Corki at Worlds, I imagine. Always got to have someone playing Corki at Worlds.
Why is that good news?
You know, you got to keep the theme, the pattern going around. You don't like the Corki mid?
I want
TP
someone
Corki?
new. Give me the Azir back.
I don't think. Caps tried it.
Azir's getting like a damage buff on his ultimate. Doesn't mean anything, but
it's a pretty big one too.
Yeah,
it's like 100 damage.
Philip, who do you think is the second best region going into Worlds? Give your answer. Who is it?
Probably China.
Probably
Is that
China.
boring?
That's boring, yeah.
I feel like they could also be like the fourth best region after groups.
I don't think World Elite's pretty good.
Yeah, but maybe the other two could maybe not get out. RNG and EDG, depending on who gets in EDG's group, they could maybe not get out. EDG less so, but RNG, it'll still be tough for them to get out of that group.
Yeah, that team's a bit crazy for my taste. All right, let's hit a couple more questions. We're getting late here. Mr. Eric.
All right.
Let's see. That's my scrolling
That's your scrolling
noise.
sound?
Yeah.
Work on it a bit.
Thank you. What team is most likely to upset in the group stage? Immortals, Misfits, HQ. Who's bringing an upset?
I mean, is Immortals an upset right now?
Not right now. That's the thing. I think Immortals are pretty likely to
upset, as in like beating Longzhu or something.
We'll go with that.
Okay.
We'll go with that.
That's tough. I feel like it might be Immortals. AHQ, they get a tiny little Worlds buff when they play there, but I have next to no confidence in them. Immortals, I think they've been doubted for most of the split. People have kind of been like, when are they gonna fall off? When are they gonna choke and fall down? I know they kind of did the very last game of the split, but they were competitive in pretty much that whole TSM series, so they're a pretty solid team. I could see them performing really well, getting out of that group, maybe not beating Longzhu, but playing 2 close games. I'll give them that. Like, no stomps. 2 close games, they lose to them.
That's good.
That's
I'd take that against Longzhu. Yeah. I might take Misfits. I think with their early games, they can just take care of some teams ripe quick. See you later.
Ripe quick.
That's a saying. Look it up.
Ripe
or I'm
quick
an idiot.
or ripe quick?
It doesn't matter. Let's move on.
Ripe quick.
Nikolai Bueller for the last question of the day. Who do you think is the best support coming into Worlds? He thinks it's Gorilla. And thoughts on the best bot lane? He thinks Prey and Gorilla. Probably.
I think they're the best bot lane. For sure. I think Sven and Mithy are up there.
They are good.
I think they're probably top 3
Double
at this
bio
tournament.
Are you talking about?
I don't think they're quite top 3. Probably say Prey and Gorilla number 1. I feel like Bang and Wolf are probably still number 2, even though they've been slumping. But I mean, Sven and Mithy are probably, I might slot them in 3rd. But I think Prey and Gorilla are the best bot lane. Gorilla probably the best support. And again, I think Mithy, he's been pretty insane lately. He's been pretty lights out on a bunch of different champions. I think he's close. Yeah. Not that close to Gorilla, but it's a close second.
Gorilla, obviously named after the famous Ape Harambe.
That's
true
right.
story.
Wow,
so he's got
memes are really coming out.
Yes. Not a true story.
Also stars in that Gorilla Glue commercial.
And father of Curious George.
Yes. Bring it all. We bring it all back.
Full circle here at 5v5 Live.
That's right.
That's when it's time to go since we've come full circle.
Abort.
Yeah. So
great questions. A lot of questions.
Thanks for those. Yeah. We're going to be doing another, I guess, more in-depth play-in preview on next Wednesday.
A bit of a hiatus between actual games this weekend. They're not coming until next weekend, so we're going to do a lot of previewing, a lot of hypotheticals before that group stage is actually set. So,
so if you got any cool solo queue games, you can send them our way, and
we'll dive deep into them, analyze,
tell you how terrible you are,
or your teammates' mistakes. Right? It's never you.
It's never you.
That's right.
Flame them. Make sure we can see it in the chat too.
Yeah,
we want that. All right. Anything else? No, probably that's it. We've been rambling about nonsense for a while.
I wanted to talk about Curious George, but we actually got that covered already. So
good.
I think I'm good. Yeah, great questions. Thanks for them, and we'll answer some more next time.
Absolutely. We'll be back on Monday with Get Boosted talking about something. I haven't decided yet, so I know that's a pretty great tease. Pretty great tease.
I know I'm gonna tune in for that. Wow.
But join us. You can ask us some questions then too. So we'll be chilling around. Anyways, that's Eric. I'm Matt, and we will see you next week. Have a good weekend, everybody.